so long for a miracle to come.
Welcome to Joy News at 6. The news is live on Joy 99.7 FM and Hits 103.9 FM in Accra. In Kumasi, we're live on Love 99.5 FM and over 30 affiliates across Ghana's 16 regions, including Sankara FM Yendi, Castle FM Cape Coast, Laura FM Laura, and Radio Max Takrade. Get radio, TV, and online content on the myjoyonline.com interactive app for Android and iOS devices. Coming up, Bank of Ghana rejects claims it is to blame for the over 60 billion cedis loss in its 2022 fiscal year report as it exposes failings of government's 2022 budget for the anomaly.
The police should expand the investigation beyond.
We have business.
We hear from banking consultant Dr. Richmond Etienne, who has joined calls for finance ministers to be sanctioned when they breach the fiscal responsibility law to protect the Bank of Ghana from undue pressure.
And also, Ghana Integrity Initiative calls on police to expand investigations on former sanitation minister to include money laundering as the office of the special prosecutor freezes her account.
The police should expand the investigation beyond the ceiling and the amount to money laundering.
And ECOWAS heads of state meet in Nigeria today to decide on their next action after an ultimatum to Niger's military junta elapsed.
Also to review all options and also decide on if we are going to intervene militarily, when and where.
I am Mamiesi Nyamiche Thompson. Please stay for details. The Bank of Ghana says the failings of government's 2022 budget failed to address fiscal concerns. The minority this week gives the governor and his deputies 21 days to resign over a 60 billion CD loss the bank incurred, or they will picket the bank. But in an explosive statement, the governor, Dr. Ernest Addison, indicates that the central bank cannot be blamed for the losses incurred in 2022. My colleague Elton Brobe joins me in studio with details of that statement. Elton, what gaps are there in the budget that the Bank of Ghana is referring to?
Well, according to the statement, the bank says that as a result of the fiscal deficit in 2020, sovereign spread on Ghana's bonds widened, signaling investor dissatisfaction. The budget for 2022, which was read in 2021, failed to address fiscal concerns as the budget was even more expansionary by about 23% with a raft of revenue measures to raise financing. As a result, the credit rating agency further downgraded Ghana's sovereign debt rating, which blocked Ghana's access to international market and market borrowing. This triggered a liquidity crisis spilling over into a balance of payment crisis. External and domestic payment needed to be made, according to the Senate. The domestic auction was failing, and the Bank of Ghana had to step in to arrest a major economic and social crisis.
Okay, the bank raised a grim outlook on the economy prior to the IMF intervention.
Again, the statement reveals that in 2 months, the Bank of Ghana lost $500 million in reserves and built significant overdraft with the government as a result of the auction failures. It became clear, according to the statement, that Ghana was on a path that was unsustainable, and the government had to approach the IMF for support in July 2022. The IMF process included putting in place a credible program of reform, which included restructuring of the total government debt to sustainable levels. Until staff-level agreement with the IMF was reached in December, the Bank of Ghana, according to the statement, had to continue to provide the necessary support to keep the economy running.
So why is the Bank of Ghana saying it cannot be blamed?
They say that central banks are not commercial banks. This financial outcome has very little implication for the operations of the Bank of Ghana, as supported by evidence from other central banks. Technically, according to the Bank of Ghana, central banks cannot be insolvent or bankrupt.
Thank you, Elton Brobe. Now, the Ghana Integrity Initiative is calling on the police to expand investigations into the Cecilia Dapa Million case to include money laundering. The institution's suggestion comes after the Office of the Special Prosecutor froze Madam Dapa's account. Although the OSP holds the authority to do so, court approval is necessary to prolong the action. Sources suggest that the former former minister's bank accounts contained millions in US dollars and Ghana cedis. Officials from the OSP also recovered funds during a search at her residences. Speaking to Joy News, Acting Executive Secretary of GII, Mary Ada, questioned the conduct of probe by the Attorney General's office.
This is a different trajectory which is being taken. We are particularly concerned about the way the Attorney General is carrying on. However, let me say that one of the things the Attorney General has done that has also brought clarity to this work is the fact that they asked that they decouple the amount, but then the police have shown that that is what they were already doing all this while. Then the next thing that happened, which we would say is good, is the fact that the police should expand the investigation beyond the ceiling and the amount to money laundering.
Executive Secretary of GII, Mary Ada there. Now, the MP for Asawase, Muntaka Mubarak, is pushing for the regulation of tricycle operators in the Central Business District of Kumasi. The KMA Assembly recently imposed restrictions on riders in specific areas due to concerns over congestion. However, the move has since been met with resistance from the riders. But the MP believes that regulating their operations by introducing congestion charges can resolve the situation.
My view is that let's look at how other big cities have done it. In London, you have the congestion charges where you introduce a sticker that may even be a biometric, where people have to pay for it annually. Maybe you just put a fee on it. Then before you get that sticker, probably we'll say, oh, you're up to 21. You need to have rider's license. Your price should be registered, and all that. Automatically, you take the ruffians, or for lack of better word, the badness out. The rough estimation is that close to more than 50% of commuters across the country use this. Means majority of our teeming youth who could not find job have found solace in this.
Asawase MP Muntaka Mubarak, meanwhile, a former KMA mayor, Maxwell Kofi Juma, believes engaging in dialogue will ease riders' opposition and create a smooth rollout. Heavy rains have destroyed the Walawale-Nalerigu road in the northeast region. Several passengers were stranded Wednesday, and hundreds of residents in at least 3 villages displaced by the floods. In Tinguri, the downpour caused the community dam to collapse. Some residents have been speaking to Elias Tanko.
If they didn't come and block it, dry season we will not get water to build our houses. Our animals too will not get water to drink. So we are appealing to the stakeholders. Anyone who can come to our aid, we are pleading, please help us.
I was in my room and I saw water coming. So I came out and I saw that the bridge and even the river bank has been washed off. The bridge, and you see the bridge has also broken down and everything.
West African heads of state are meeting in Nigeria today to decide on their next action after an ultimatum to Niger's military junta elapsed. ECOWAS Commissioner for Political Affairs, Ambassador Dr. Abdel Fattah Musa, says a forced approach to restore constitutional order is still being considered.
The Chief of Defense Staff will give their report about the concept of operation for the military intervention in the country, which has never been off the table. But we have said it is going to be the option of last resort. Member states will confirm their contribution of elements, whether contingents owned equipment, how many troops and other things, to try and then finalize that. Also to review all options and also decide on if we are going to intervene militarily, when and where.
ECOWAS Commissioner for Political Affairs, Ambassador Abdel Fattah Musa there. Now to Tech Thursday, a less expensive form of dialysis for people suffering from kidney failure involves filling the abdomen with fluid and draining the fluid to rid the body of waste. The method, known as peritoneal dialysis, is done manually or automatically using an automated cycler machine. This automated cycler, which does the fluid exchange for patients at night, is imported and can be financially stressful for the poor. Fortunately, biomedical engineering students of the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology have been able to build a less expensive dialysis cycler. Love FM's Kwesi Debra speaks with developers Theodora Adefi Jambra, Benjamin Yeboah, and Martin Opoku Kwating for Tech Thursday.
According to the developers, the device has been tested and found to be comparable to similar devices.
As we pass through the dialysis from the dialysis bag, there is a motor in here. For the traditional one, we use gravity for the drain. But here we are employing a pump. So as the water goes in here, it is being drained out here by the pump in the machine, which in turn speeds up the whole process. And it's safe because the normal pressure that's not going to affect the cavity of the human being is 10.3 kilopascal, and we calibrated our water pump in there with this value, so it's safe to use. So as and when the drain is done, you hear a buzzer indicating that it's done. Then the valve switches to a different procedure.
Reporting for Joy News, Kwesi Debra.
And that's the end of the bulletin. In our top story, Bank of Ghana rejects claims it is to blame for the over 60 billion cedi loss in its 2022 fiscal year report, exposing failings of government's 2022 budget for that anomaly. I am Amiesi Nyamiche Thompson. Business is next on the Super Morning Show.